Hey y'all, just real quick before we dive into the main program, I just want to give a quick word about the platform that I'm using, Anchor FM. It's been a good platform so far with the program and just distributing. It's a multi-platform sort of deal, so it sends out to Spotify, Google, iTunes, a whole list of hosting sites. So it's definitely a good place to start if you're a beginner or who wants to step into this field. You really don't need any experience at all. You just do it, right? So the sponsorship has been a good deal for me so far, and definitely a good way to build on the program that you want to distribute or you want to record. So yeah, so definitely check it out, Anchor FM. Also, if you want to skip these sponsorship intros, you can go to my Patreon, Collapse Talk, and for $1 you can get early access, ad-free access, as well as other exclusive content that I build on and work on. So definitely check it out there, Patreon. But yeah, so now without further ado, we will jump into the main program. Hey everyone, welcome back, and hoping that everybody's well and safe. I'm doing fine, as you can hear. And yeah, I mean, what else can I say? This is going to be a bit of a different episode, given that this is a reflection of my experience with the Texas snowstorm. Now, I live in Huntsville, Texas, and I live I live on my own. I live in a 3-bedroom, but it's just me at the moment, me and my cat and my pet rats. And unfortunately, one of my rats did die during that experience. So, it wasn't entirely easy, although in comparison to what many other people experience, millions in the state, my experience was a walk in the park. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to be talking and just reflecting on the experience. So I'm not really going to look at too many articles or, I'll work on a more broader, segmented episode later on. But right now I just wanted to talk about this experience because honestly, even when I was recording the Saturday before all this went down, it did affect my ability to upload and such. It was truly I was caught off guard. Even with my preps, I was caught off guard. And if I had not done any preps, I would have had a pretty rough time. Even though I was lucky, my waters didn't. I'm on the 3rd floor, so my water pipes didn't burst. I kept my faucets flowing. I think the whole building is spared from the whole damage, and yeah, so we're lucky. But the other buildings in my complex, at least there's 13. So myself, my building, and the building next to us. So 2 buildings out of 13 were spared from the damage and the worst of this storm. We did get power within the first 48 hours, although people were saying that it was going to be a blackout, a rolling blackout, so that the power would come back on go. That didn't happen. So yeah, I mean, it was actually I was getting self-conscious because I was gaining some weight back, from comfort eating, and just staying inside with this quarantine, because I was doing pretty well actually. When this quarantine started, I was looking pretty good, and then everything happened, of course, and I just started eating. But yeah, the weight gain, because everybody's treating it as though, oh no, it's just mass, bro, your muscle. No, it's blubber. Not trying to fat shame myself, but I would like to live a little healthier. And yeah, I mean, it probably played a role in keeping me warm inadvertently. So that was pretty good. I had some firewood, although I burned through it pretty quickly at the beginning. It wasn't as much as I needed. So, okay, I have to segment this out. So, the first day, the storm, which was Sunday or Monday. Yeah, it was Monday. Yeah, I woke up and I realized, oh snap, there's no power. And I wore some layers, doubled layers. Well, actually, I woke up the night before or the early morning, so there was still power. And then I went back to sleep. I mean, it was crazy just seeing the level of snow. It was truly just a downpour. And so when I woke up after that initial experience, I realized that the power was out. I had heated it up, so I made sure all the doors were closed and the windows were shut. I don't have any drapes, but I was able to stay warm for the first day, and yeah, it was kind of like a shocking moment. Like, oh shit, okay, we're here. It's this is real. So I put on double layered sweatpants, double layered jackets, double layered socks. I already had a beanie on. I didn't have. Well, I have a face mask. I couldn't really find it at first, but I kind of put like a towel and just a paper face mask. Just because I didn't have any scarves, so I didn't have anything to cover my face. And I tried to survey the area, try to see how we were affected, and yeah, it was truly. I don't know. It was something that you have to. It was something you had experience on your own. Like you just there was no other way to process it. Like even now that I'm thinking about it, because it's still it wasn't a traumatic experience, but it was still just like holy shit. Like it was, yeah, it was pretty intense. And honestly, like it wasn't even as much snow compared to like say Minnesota or the Midwest. But yeah, it was similar conditions and. Yeah, the wind and all that powder. Really, it was a lot of powder, which was fun. At first, and yeah, I went to pick up some mail. I talked to some people to try to check out the situation. So we had lost power, and it must have been the whole city or the whole state. Really, was out of power. So that first day, yeah, just staying in a lot. Luckily, I had some books, although I couldn't really charge my phone completely through the night, so I was running on like 30%, so I tried to use it sparingly, although people were like just calling me, checking in on me, so I just had to put on airplane mode because they were draining my battery. I did have books, so I just read that. I read The Road, so I thought that was pretty appropriate given the circumstances. Good read, although I think I lost it, so I really got to find it. Yeah, I read that. And I just stayed warm and, kept my cap warm and, yeah, just tried to, hunker down. At the night I was able to start a fire and stay, warm. Although, again, I had enough heat in the apartment. Through the night, though, we did lose that heat temperature. And so I did have trouble sleeping with the cold. I should have moved and created like a little pillow fort, but I just like slept because my bed is like positioned in the corner, and so there's two windows that are by on my side, so that probably helped, or that probably affected my the temperature. So I did have trouble sleeping that first night, even with all the layer of clothings and layer of blankets, and the second day was clearer, and so I realized, okay, it was it was good to have that experience of just like, okay, I have to get firewood. So I had an axe. Ready, because this is the prepping situation. Really, my preps are more for flooding and hurricane type situations, but I do have winter clothing because. I'm from the Caribbean, so naturally these kind of conditions are just going to not even that. It's just when I've seen like streamers online saying like, oh, like why would people like have any kind of winter clothing for Texas? Like the people who don't have that kind of clothing aren't from Texas, because when you live here for a while you realize, oh, it gets cold here. So I had the winter clothing ready, although I had never expected to be in a blizzard like this. And yeah, still I'm trying to like reflect on it now, like just talking and recording about it. That's one of the reasons why I kind of waited, just trying to process what I would say. And now that I'm saying it, it's still like a bit difficult coming back to me. But yeah, that second day I went out and just chopped some firewood, just grabbed some, there's like a forest right behind my apartment complex, so I just started chopping some wood down. I also had a solar battery pack, so I was able to charge my phone, get some battery there. And then I was talking to some neighbors, and they were, I mean, nobody really knew how to make fire, so I made a little fire for them. Just like got a little pot and just put like some sticks and like paper and lint in there, and yeah, just they helped me out, or I helped them out, and then they were able to give me some water, and yeah, it was a pretty good situation all around. Just trying to do my part, because it like I don't really do the best at like talking to people, because honestly I'm not really like a small talk kind of person, so like I'll just like say hi and then just go in my room like so. Yeah, it was just I at least wanted to like do something good and let them know that like I'm somebody that they can they can work with during this whole situation. Actually, yeah, there was like a lot of hospitality and just talking with people. When you live in Texas, after a while you realize like, okay, we need to help each other, because we get disasters all the time. So yeah, it's not even a Texas thing, like that's pretty much anywhere in the world. Like when there's a disaster, most people, good people, want to help each other out. Yeah, so that was the second day. And the second day we actually did manage to get power later in the day. Like in the night, the power came back on, we got heating, so that was good. The water situation was down at first for our building, so it did kind of suck to have no water. And honestly, like I didn't have my whole water stash completely stocked up. Like nobody really told us how bad this was going to be until like the last minute. Like when I saw the weather forecast for snow, I was just like, okay, it might be a little flurry, like because I have no cable, and I had no idea that this was going to be a Arctic blast, like blizzard type situation. So yeah, and that was just a shortcoming on my part. I didn't have a complete stash of water, and I also, my car gas tank was at half. So yeah, I was honestly in a lot of respects very unprepared. So that's just something that I'm going to have to work on for next time, especially now because our grid is compromised, and I have a lot of worries about the summer, like genuinely. So yeah, so that second day we did get the power back on, although the water situation was complicated. And so I realized, okay, what I probably need to do now is boil down water for the toilets so I can flush at least. And because I mean, and I didn't even take a bath. I didn't take a bath like for 4 days straight. So I was still kind of like musty and like kind of just living in my own filth for a bit. But I decided, I needed to get water, and I'm also definitely going to need clean drinking water eventually. So I had a mini Sawyer filter, and so what I did was I basically just got like all the ice and snow that was on my car and scraped it off, melted it down, and then filtered that snow melt through the mini Sawyer filter, and then just put it in the empty gallons that I had. And I just did that for 3 full days, basically like depriving myself of sleep to fill up water, because I was seriously concerned that the power could go out at any second, and it honestly could have. So I was just just melting down and drinking all the coffee that I had. Luckily I did have a good supply of honey, so I had some sweet to get me through, and caffeine. But yeah, I was just like up, and people were looking at me kind of like, oh, you're drinking that? And I'm just like, for my bathroom, but I didn't exactly want to reveal just yet that I had a filter to drink and have clean water, because I didn't know what situation we were getting into. But yeah, it was just work. It was me keeping myself busy. It was a good way to stay organized and just understand like, okay, here's the to-do list. I had my firewood. Okay, now I need water, and I'm working, keeping myself busy. It's one of those times like a lot of people were recording themselves, like and they're having an experience, vlogging. I'm like straight up in survival mode, like I got to get some stuff done, and yeah, through all of that, everybody was, or my parents at least, my friends, they knew I was okay, but my parents were, checking in as parents do, and I'm just like, I'm good. You keep wondering why I'm preparing for the apocalypse, and I'm doing just fine, right? So, yeah, it was just interesting seeing how other people were handling it, and just like how, because I don't want to victim blame on people who were unprepared for this, because again, in a lot of ways I was unprepared, but at the very least, it's just like, and I'm not talking to those that like just genuinely have no clue what's going on, like the people who like can't find, say, Kansas on the map, so like those kinds of people who have no clue, like the people who are saying, wait, I thought it was global warming, why is it snowing, like that those people, I'm not really gonna blame them for not being prepared for this sort of thing. But for those who have a general understanding of the climate effects and our degrading infrastructure and our grid system, it's frustrating for me, because I'm just talking like this, and a guy like myself who doesn't have anything sorted out but can see this, it at least shows who's really ready for what's coming and who isn't. And so it's survival of the fittest. I don't see it like as in like physical athletic abilities. I see it as fittest as in your ability to adapt. And so I don't know, for a short second, I was able to adapt to a drastic change in the environment, and many others weren't able to adapt. And of course, it's not their fault for the most part, but again, it's just like nature works in mysterious ways, right? Again, with Texas and this failure, it has a lot to do with ERCOT and our Texas, deregulation is, and yeah, of course, everybody's seen that now. I mean, even I didn't fully understand the whole ERCOT situation of us being independent, but then when I finally learned it, it was just like, it makes sense. And of course, now we're seeing the fruits of that. Like, seeing the hearings now, you see some of the senators, the state senators, just like, I want to know what happened. I mean, I voted for it, but what happened? Like, or, yeah. Holy crap, man. I can just imagine like the Doge, like the strong Doge, like memes now. It's just like, we don't need regulations of the federal system. And in Texas now, it's just like, oh, I need federal assistance, federal relief. Wow, man. Yeah, but I mean, they're not going to learn anything. I don't know if this is truly going to change. I mean, I was talking to one of my uncles who lives in New York, and of course, like, they get snowstorms like every year. So I mean, like, something like this, what we had for them is nothing really, because I mean, honestly, like, look, this snow is just gone. Like, it's clear and it's hot. It's actually they're saying that there's going to be hot temperatures for next week. So like, we're getting from Arctic conditions to now, spring, early summer time. Like, it's really, yeah, mind blowing. But for my uncle who lives in New York, they live in the Arctic, or I shouldn't say Arctic, just the temperate, mild winter type seasons. And of course, they get frigid temperatures. And he's just talking to me, and one thing he said, he's like, "Oh man, you're sounding like a prophet." And I'm just like, "Please don't call me that." Like, yeah, man. Like, I don't take any pleasure being correct about these things. Not that I am correct about most things, but like, when I am correct, it's like for the worst possible reason. And yeah, yeah, we were just talking, and he was just saying to me like, no, actually, he wasn't saying to me. I was explaining to him that one of the reasons why there won't be a major political shift in leadership, or at least I don't see it happening soon, is because Democrats are anti-gun, and that's why a lot of voters in this state, I mean, guns are just part of the culture. Unfortunately, this is why I talk about the Second Amendment pretty extensively. The guns are just a part of the culture. Because imagine if there was a complete grid down situation. Now, of course, there would have been a lot of people and criminals who would have taken advantage of that. And of course, there's National Guard and police. But the people's ability to protect their own property when the cops and the guardsmen aren't capable, when we talk about community policing, like this is a grid down SHTF situation is the perfect time to start a community watch or militia. And the only way you're really going to protect yourself from criminals is to be armed. Now, again, resources are relatively abundant, so it really just depends on people's ability to cooperate and share. But I'm just like I'm saying this because I'm currently looking over footage and documentaries over the Hurricane Katrina situation and just how things unfolded there, and a lot of the the reasons for the violence that was unfortunately prevalent in this in the aftermath of Katrina is because these poor communities already had issues with violence and gangs and crime. So, of course, when a natural disaster hits, that's just naturally going to go out of the window because there's no law. It's a lawless area, and of course, people are going to take advantage of it. Street gangs are going to try to expand, right? Yeah. Anyway, it just becomes a jungle at that point, and yeah, and of course, here in Texas, it would have been, I don't know exactly what would have happened. I mean, still, like the idea that we were that close to a complete grid down situation, I really hope more of my friends understand why I do what I do, and that, because I don't really try to preach too many, I don't try to preach too much about my lifestyle, but I just hope it at least clicks, at least it's not like such an oddity. Anyway, God, I should have been more organized about how I'm talking about this, but there's just so much to say and so much to unpack, especially as a Texan. Honestly, when I said that last episode, Escape from Texas, like that's honestly like just what this is about. Like I just need to escape Texas because again, unless Democrats take a less harder stance on or they soften their stance on gun control, they're not going to gain a foothold in Texas. They won't. Maybe libertarian or a third party candidate who wants social reform, but also is supportive of the Second Amendment. Then maybe that would be the case. But Democrats, if they're going to continue down the road of gun control, they're not going to win in Texas. They're just not. I'm sorry. It's just the culture here. But as I'm saying this, this leadership is now just pointing fingers, trying to say, who did what. And of course, everybody's on ERCOT. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely has to do with the Texas Republicans, fucking Rick Perry, he's talking like, oh, Texans would be glad to, freeze, to not be under the regulatory boot of, the Federal Reserve, grid system. Then, an 11-year-old boy freezes to death, like, and so many other stories, elderly people freezing to death, people's oxygen tanks getting cut off and like just choking, and God, it's just so senseless. It really is Hurricane Katrina on ice. Like it honestly is. Yeah, man. So, with that all being said, we have certain, moments that occurred up from this, and we have the Ted Cruz, cowardice and fleeing of the state to Cancun. Wow, man. You know, it's not even like I'm upset at people like for leaving the state. Like if honestly, like if you had the resources to leave, like leave. Like yeah, like there was. I mean, this is why are you gonna stay and like freeze to death in your fucking house? Like, yeah. But from Ted Cruz, somebody like him, it truly speaks to. I mean, okay, not even the fact that like if he had just evacuated his family, that would have been okay. But then again, it's Ted Cruz, and this guy's like anti like migratory, like people, workers, and families trying to, flee gang violence and drug addiction in their homeland. Like, yeah, like he's a hypocrite in that sense. But like honestly, like if he had stayed and evacuated his family, this wouldn't have been much of an issue. But again, he just like assumed that like he could just go on a plane, go fly coach. Dude can't even get a private jet. And yeah, we saw what happened, and then he came crawling back, and wow, man, what a fucking coward, man. Holy shit. Like, Ted Cruz is like a Jerry from Rick and Morty's dad, Jerry. He's a Jerry that has power. For whatever reason, he has power, but not like Donald Trump. So he can never be like Donald Trump. So he's a Jerry even in his own like political field. Like he's just, oh my god, what a slimy person. But yeah, fled to Cancun, and came crawling back. When AOC outshone him and raised millions of dollars, like a real leader. And yeah, I mean, of course, he's doing now his photo shoots, like trying to like, oh, I'm helping you, and here's some food, peasants, and God, and then I saw a clip on CPAC where he made that comment like, oh, well, Cancun, I don't know what he completely said. He's just what a sleazeball. Yeah, man, wow. There's so many like different other like Republicans like fled the state. So honestly, like the tough guy Republicans, well, you just gotta pull yourself from the bootstraps, bruh. And then Joel Osteen is finally being a real Christian, doing the right thing and helping people. But still, like you hear other reports of like I believe somewhere in like Austin, like it was mostly just volunteer workers getting homeless people off the street and getting them into shelter. Like there was nothing. Like, dude, like just the government response was so inept. Holy shit. Like I did not see one plow in the entire time in this city. So there was not one plow in Huntsville. It really blows my mind. Yeah, man. Still, just thinking about it, like, holy shit, this state is so unprepared. Yeah. The state is so full of people that are just like tough guys, but really they're just a bunch of pussies. And, man, holy shit. But yeah, I'm just trying to talk about this and just trying to see what else I can conjure up, because really, like, this whole experience, for myself, it was easy, but it still had its challenges, obviously. But I tried to make the best out of it, and I got at least a week off of work. So although I missed out on money, I at very least just did what I could and put myself to other uses. And yeah. But it really just shows how unprepared we are. Well, I mean, in the general grand scheme of things, in the leadership angle or infrastructure, power grid, which, again, as I said, is already compromised. And so, like, there's going to be another disaster, or possibly hurricane, because that's what we're gearing up towards, or extreme heat that could affect it. We could get wildfires, maybe, because this snow killed off a lot of plants and a lot of trees. It's very unsettling. Although we've had some rain recently, I hope we can get more consistent rain because we really need to get some moisture and life back in the plants. Um, but yeah, either the summer could go two ways. We could get extreme drought, heat, and fires, or extreme hurricanes and rain, flooding. Like it's gonna be a rough summer. I wholeheartedly believe it. And yeah, man, what an experience! Holy shit. There was a part of me, and I know it sounds. I know I'm saying this a bit soon, but I'm just remembering a bit from George Carlin where he's talking about chaos. And he's like, I like chaos. Don't put out my fire. Like, that's what I was kind of thinking a bit. I was just like, hey, don't stop snowing. Come on, I'm trying to build a snowman. Like, again, I do recognize that a lot of people were having a harder time with it. But if we had a competent system, competent leadership, this would have been, it still would have been rough, but at the very least, it wouldn't have been like the edge of apocalypse now, like, like in the frozen wasteland. Like holy shit, dude! Like, we would actually be under martial law, and I would be sitting here thinking to myself, okay, should I try to relink with my family or just hunker down and shelter in place until the situation clears up? Like it, and I still think about it now, just like trying, like what would I would have done. And still, like, you know, it's about less than 2 hours to make a drive like that, but now like it totally changes, and it could take like days, like just to make a trip like that in complete darkness, no rule of law, and like holy shit. So yeah, now I'm definitely going to invest in tactical equipment, at least in a plate vest, and I really need to get plates or a helmet. Like, yeah, like it's the real shit, man. You know, we like, you know, this isn't even like, we didn't even dodge a bullet. We got grazed. So it still hit us, but it didn't hit any vitals. And next time we're not going to be so lucky. So, yeah, man. You know, fuck, dude. Just thinking about that still freaks me out. Like, just having to travel in a fucking literal apocalypse. Like, yeah, that is crazy. But, you know, it would have been under martial law, heavy military presence. Still, it's still something to think about. So, yeah, I'm just going to have to invest in that. I already got the plate vest, so I just need to get some plates. But, yeah, man, I have to do it before the summer. I need to do it before this Derek Chauvin trial verdict comes out, because I think he's going to get acquitted, and holy fuck, that's going to be bad. So, yeah, this summer's going to be bad. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, I'm trying to think what else I could say about this whole experience. This episode's a bit of a quickie, and I could probably talk about it longer in the next episode where I have more content, you know, articles laid out, because this is more just like a venting, ranting episode. And honestly, like, I just had a long day at work, so I'm not really trying to talk for too long. But I do appreciate y'all just at least, you know, tuning in and listening to this short one. Just, you know, if anybody is keeping up with me, just, you know, listening in and just, yeah. Any other Texans just trying to reminisce about. I mean, there are some Texans that are genuinely traumatized by the experience, and for myself, there is a small level of trauma, but not as much as others have experienced. And I'm very lucky. I'm extremely lucky. Holy shit. Like, there's no damage. I got water. Like, I can take showers, wash my clothes, clean my plates. Although, I don't know where to get water refills. The water store that I usually go to, I guess something happened there. I have to check again. So I need to find other places to fill up on water, because I'm down to my last 3 gallons. Yeah, man. So, yeah, I just wanted to say this much at least. And I'm a little high, so I guess I kind of like just don't have the energy to continue on. But yeah, at the very least, I just want to like have a little quick episode and just uh, recollect on the whole experience because it really was wild. It really was having to deal with all that. I'm actually thinking now, like, about the whole Ted Cruz thing. Uh, if any of you have seen the Internet Historian episode about the cost of Concordia, great segment or video essay. Um, he talks about one of the captains, speaking with the Santino or whatever. Anyway, um, saying to him, "Varabo de caso." And I was thinking about Ted Cruz. I mean, I think the whole state of Texas is like "Varabo de caso," like, yeah. But we hunkered down and we helped each other out. I mean, there's a lot of good stories of people, just doing the right thing in a desperate situation. But again, that's only because resources right now are relatively abundant. I'm not usually the kind of like Joker kind of person to be like, oh, they'll eat each other, but like, I truly believe now that we're going to see like food shortages for real. I still have not been to the grocery store, and I'm probably going to start hunting for real now, trying to get some meat because I do believe that's going to be harder to find, especially as the hurricane season rolls around. But yeah, man. This is the real grind because there's a lot that's going to happen now. We are, things have been set in motion that could be magnified and truly disastrous. Even things could really, as I said, the summer could be very interesting indeed. Yeah. So anyway, I want to thank y'all for tuning in for this short episode. Yeah, man. And honestly, now that I'm talking about it, I'm a bit rattled, like from the experience. So I think I'll just wrap up from here. So anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll release a more informed and structured episode on the next one. This was just a bit of a quickie, but yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see y'all on the next one.